Good afternoon. Welcome, everyone. So glad that you are here and you are joining me this afternoon or whenever you happen to be watching it. Today, we are going to be painting brass, and brass is a metal, and metal can be tricky. In particular, brass can be tricky. It has been tricky for me more than one occasion. So I want to try to make this, I want to try to simplify this for you, make it easy for you, help you to start to see this. Brass is one of those things also where you may not be able to see it yet, to see everything I'm going to tell you, and that's fine. What I do want you to do is to trust what I say, and you're going to paint what I've told you, what you know in your head is there. You may not be able to go see it yet, but first you have to learn it. You have to paint what you know, and then in time you'll be able to paint what you see. I know right now that doesn't make any sense whatsoever. When I first heard it, it didn't make any sense whatsoever. But the more that I've gotten into this, it's like, oh, that's what that meant. So this is one of those things where you have to go on faith, and you have to really trust. That's scary. That's hard. I get it. But if you want to learn how to paint brass, this is you really need to learn how to trust, especially if you're just starting out. And I can help you learn how to paint it realistically sooner in your art development than you just working on it yourself and then just painting what you see. Okay, so that out of the way, probably didn't make a lick of sense. That's all right. It didn't make any sense to me when I first heard it. So I take no offense whatsoever if you're like, yeah, I don't know what you said, Corey. No offense taken. All right, so I've got a size 1. I believe this is a round. Yeah, it's a round. Robert Simmons Signet. I really do like these brushes. They actually do hold up quite well. They're very reasonably priced. I also paint with treacle, and I just ordered some new treacle brushes. But Robert Simmons Signet, and then the treacle hog bristle. And I either paint with rounds. Sometimes I'll paint with a round. I'm doing it because it's a smaller panel and we're doing a small thing. But most of the time I paint with filberts. But we're going to start with a round here, and probably that's all we're going to be doing with it. Okay, so I'm going to do, we're going to do size and placement. You're like, this is just practice. Why are we doing size and placement on practice? Well, you know, it took a while for me to get size and placement right. It took a while for me to make this a habit. And I can remember that I was, when I first started learning about size and placement, I was painting, I guess things were growing as I was making it too big to start with. And then things were growing as I was doing it. And things were getting to be really, really big. And so everything was sitting too big on my canvas. And I remember the first time I painted something a little bit too small. It was like, this looks so much better. Yes, it is a little too small. Yes, I probably could make it a little bit bigger, but I'm not, because I kind of like this. I like that it looked pleasing to me. It looked really pleasing to me. It looked, it looked very pleasing to me. And I liked that everything had room to breathe. And yeah, probably could have, done a little bit more as far as making it just a smidgen bigger. But I was so gosh darn proud of that. when I finally kind of figured out the size and placement. And you'll actually get size and placement done. You'll actually get it faster. You'll understand it faster. You'll have paintings that just look better sitting on the canvas faster when you just practice the size and placement even on these little things here. These little practice things. So, okay, so I've got kind of the rough drawing, the shadow of the spittoon. If I'm painting something brass, I would say 9 chances out of 10, maybe even 10 chances out of 10, it's going to be a spittoon. I think I have something else in brass. I'm pretty sure I do. But I don't love anything else made out of brass nearly as much as I love my spittoons. And I have a collection of them. And I'll see some out, I want to buy more. But I'm like, I already have 4. And I have 2 big ones, this one, and then I have one that's smaller. So I have 4 in 3 different sizes. So and then I also have one made out of ceramic. So I really have 5. 5. Anyways, if you see something brass in one of my paintings, it is almost certainly a spittoon. So that's me. I love them. I am completely fascinated with them. Oh, what was I doing? Oh, I was going to talk to you about another form of painting, which is erasing. And this is an important tool here, and I'm using oleo gel here. You can use whatever medium that you happen to have. And I'm going to get a little bit of a clean spot and kind of get in there and really try to get this as clean as possible. Okay. So now we've got everything kind of set. Let's do the shadow and the lemon. And I'm still using raw umber. Now we had talked, let me tell you about the raw umber that I use. Most of my paints that I use are made by Natural Pigments or Rublev. And the umber that I happen to use is technically called Cypress Umber Medium. And it may have raw in there, I'm not 100% sure, but Cypress Umber Medium. But it is a raw umber, and it has, I think, a Cypress Umber Light and the Cypress Umber Dark. But that is the one that I use. Now, there's a lot of different brands out there. It doesn't matter which brand that you use. Just know that every brand's going to be a little bit different. My umber that I use, the reason why I like it, and I've kept using it, one of the reasons is that it's neutral. So I have black here on my palette. Black is very cool. It's cold even. It's like cold, especially when you add white to it. It's very, very cold. Burnt umber, which I don't have on my palette, is warm. But this raw umber, and most raw umbers are either neutral, neither too cool, neither too warm. Some of the brands might lean a little warm or a little cool, but most of the raw umbers are typically going to be more of a neutral temperature. So not really warm, not really cool. And it really makes a wonderful paint to start most paintings with. Now, sometimes I do want to start it warmer, and I'll start it with a burnt umber when I want to start it warmer. I don't generally want to start it cooler, so I generally start with this. If I'm doing a light painting, like a high key painting, I'll start with yellow ochre. But most of the time, I would say the 75+% of the time, I'm starting with raw umber. And I think you could, if you wanted to, start with black, but I think black could be a little problematic with mixing with some of your colors. And what I like to be able to do is when I want that color to be a little more neutralized, I want to be able to kind of dig into that raw umber. When I don't want it to be neutralized, I'm going to lay that color flat and paint on top of it. If I do happen to have any raw umber there. So I like to be able to use, if I have some raw umber on the panel, I like to be able to use it if that's what I want to do, and I like to be able to paint over it. And if you paint with thick paint very gently, holding your brush flat on top of it, you're not going to mix that raw umber in there with it. So learning about brush control is very important. But that's another lesson for another day. We're talking about brass today, so let me stay on topic. So the reason why I have the lemon here is so we can talk about reflected light, because that's one of the things you're going to see in metal and in brass is a lot of reflected light. So I'm going to start with black. I'm going to start with black. I'm going to get some. I'm just going to put it right in here in my raw umber mix. And I'm going to also pick up some yellow ochre. And because I do want these to mix so well together, I'm going to, how am I doing on time? I've got 12 minutes. 12 minutes in. I'm going to mix these in together. And as you can see, I'm getting a dark green, or hopefully you can see that. I'm getting a dark green. Okay, so it's really a dark color there. It's a dark green. What I like to do is I like to take transparent oxide red, and I set my palette up the same way every single time. I recommend you do as well. Here is some transparent oxide red. I'm going to mix that in because what I'm looking for is a warm, neutral, greenish kind of color. And that's my scientific name for the shadow color of brass. Warm, greenish kind of color. Okay, so as you can tell, I don't really have a scientific method for it. And I'm putting that on there and I'm going, that just doesn't look warm enough for me. So from experience and knowing that, I'm going to add more of the transparent oxide red and some more yellow ochre to help to kind of warm this up a bit. All right, so I'm happier with that. So you're looking at this and going, Corey, that isn't green. And probably not, but if we were to put it next to, mix some white in it, or put it next to a very warm color, like a cadmium red light, let's say, or cadmium yellow medium deep. Excuse me. If we were to go and do that, yes, it would look greenish. Okay, and I'm going to I'm not going to add any more of the transparent oxide red here, because when I'm looking at underneath that, this edge here, this fluting edge of it, it is looking greener than it does here. And then we've got some here, and I think this does go a little bit warmer, so I'm going to get some more of the transparent oxide red and warm this up a little bit more. So even as you're looking at it in different parts of it, different parts of it is going to look, a little bit warmer. Different parts are going to look a little bit cooler, and that's completely fine. That's completely normal. All right, so I feel like I've got a good handle there of my dark shape. So now let's paint the outside edge. So I'm going to get some more yellow here, and I'm going to add this into the yellow. So we're going to make it not as dark. Let's see. I'm not sure if I'm going to be happy with this value. Oh, I am happy with it, and I'm happy with the color as well. So one of the things about metal that's the same as other things is we're going to have the shadow side opposite where the light is. The light's coming from over here. But one thing that's different about metal is that what we've got is on the lit side is still dark. Now it's not as dark as the shadow, but it is a little bit dark. Now I'm going to use this little bit lighter color, and I'm going to use it to find somewhere the transition zones are. And it's not quite as dark here on the bottom. It is dark. It's turning under. So, but it's not like it's a real shadow color. Okay. Try to lighten this up just a little bit. And it helps if you whisper. Yes, if you want to paint softly, whisper. That's just a known fact in the art world. Whisper in order to paint lively. It's just a known fact. Okay, now we're going to get into some of the lit areas around here. Okay, starting to get a little bit more lighter. Okay. Now you could have used cadmium yellow deep and black. You could have used that. That's an option. I'm using cadmium yellow deep and transparent oxide red now. Using cadmium yellow deep and a little bit of black. A little bit of this orange I'd made. So it's kind of like a lighter, warmer green. My ellipse may be a little off, maybe a lot off actually, but we're not here to paint ellipses. We are here to paint brass. So that's what I'm focusing on really is color and on showing you about color. Before we go any further, let's put some background in here so that we have something to kind of compare it with. You really need something to compare it with. Otherwise, it's like, I don't know what I'm painting it against. I'm going to go against some blue here. So I do think this is a little bit too high. Actually, I think it's a lot too high. Trim this down some. Ideally, I'd want to have a little bit bigger brush for painting the background, but I just don't want to go get another one. See how easy it is to move that paint around when we have paint on the brush and paint on the panel. It's just so much easier to move paint around.
All right, so what we just went through, that was a fantastic start. But honestly, it's just the very, very tip of the iceberg. Think of what you've just seen as an invitation, a little peek to go so much deeper. And I'd love to show you what's really going on beneath the surface. So, the big question is, are you ready for the rest of it? If that little voice in your head is going, wait, there's gotta be more, then yeah, you're right. Stick with me for just another minute and I'll show you exactly what comes next. Okay, let's call what you just watched section 1, scratching the surface. We've kind of laid down the basic groundwork, but the real magic, that's in the rest of the blueprint. So to put it in perspective, this preview, it's like maybe 20% of the whole picture. The other 80%, the full story, that's where we really connect all the dots. And that right there is where the light bulbs really start to go on. Which, of course, brings us to section 2, the full explainer. And this is where I get really excited because this is where I can show you the entire learning experience. It's designed so you don't just watch something, you actually master it. So look, if you enjoyed this preview and you're thinking, yep, I'm ready for that other 80%, you can find the entire full explainer over on my Patreon page. It's just patreon.com/Corey Dyson. And I want to be clear, the full explainer isn't just a longer video. No way. It's a whole learning system. Every single month, we dive deep into a new concept, and I give you absolutely everything you need to get it. We're talking the core knowledge, super clear demonstrations, challenges to get your hands dirty, focused lessons, and plenty of practice. It's literally the whole toolkit. Oh, and the best part? There's already a huge library of content just waiting for you. We've got these massive deep dives on fundamentals like value, color, composition, edges, all the good stuff. And the moment you join, boom, you get instant access to every single one. So how does all this work? Well, that brings us to the last part here, how you can help. Because, and this is really important, it's the support from folks on Patreon that actually makes it possible for me to create these free previews for everybody. And I just want to be totally upfront with you about this. My Patreon page, that's the engine that lets me spend the time to really research and produce these deep dives and then share previews like this one with you here on YouTube. Honestly, your support over there is what fuels this entire thing. So if you want to keep your own learning journey going and help support these explainers at the same time, I'd love for you to consider joining our awesome community of learners. You can find us at, you guessed it, patreon.com/Corey Dyson. So I'll leave you with this one thought. When you have a clear, structured path and a whole library of deep dives right at your fingertips, the only question left is, what concept are you going to master next? Thanks so much for watching.